Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Arts and Minds Collective podcast. I am your host, Christine Thorp,
I am your co-host, Mackenzie Clough.
and today we have our colleague, Josh Mann, joining us to help us kind of talk about. We have multiple topics to touch on today, but help us talk about mental health and the idea of like, are we regressing and everything that has changed in the last year and a half? And the fact that this month, June, coming to an end, has been Month and also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. That's a lot of M's.
A lot of
Um,
M's.
yeah. And so that's why we have Josh here to help give us some perspective on that. Josh, would you like to just give a little introduction? Just
Yes. My name is Josh. I just finished my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling, and I'm a new therapist.
yay.
Hey, welcome to the field.
Congratulations.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
chaotic field.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
The ever-changing, constantly ebbing and flowing field.
Mhm.
We're here right alongside you, my friend. But yeah, so yeah, where do we want to start? Things have been crazy this last year and a half.
Yeah, when Christine and I sat down to kind of talk about, the series that we've been doing in terms
Mhm.
of what is mental
Yeah, this is
health and
what
our
part
extended part 4, episode 5, part 4.
part
This
4.
is
Yes,
getting, this is getting,
episode. Yeah,
this is getting partly Star Warsy, where we have to
yeah.
we have to
Episode
kind
5.
of
Part 4 of our
part
What
4.
is Mental Health? Addressing the Rumors series. Yeah.
And the thing that kind of came up is, are we regressing? We've had a lot
Yeah.
of new and not so great news kind of come up in terms of mental health, insurance providing mental health resources, things like that. Things are, we're always trying to remain optimistic, but it has been a little difficult these last couple of weeks, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, interesting that it is happening during Pride Month and Men's Mental Health
Mm-hmm.
Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
That, but I also feel like this is just something that's been, not to say that like, oh, it's just the last year and a half that things have just gotten so much worse. I mean, yes, things have gotten worse in the last year and a half, but I think this has been kind of like a long time coming over like the last like decade. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about the correlations in a few minutes, but the fact that it's picked up so much in the last year
Mm-hmm.
and a half is what's kind of crazy. Like, we were doing some research on like, yeah, what does mental health even looked like in the last like year and a half? And apparently, since the spring of 2025, 1 in 10 adults have had a severe crisis um, that has led to prompt intervention. So it's just since
Mm-hmm.
the spring of 2025. And as we were kind of like discussing this before we started recording, we all kind of were like, oh, I wonder what happened around that
Mm-hmm.
time.
What things have changed. And I think
Yeah.
even with our caseloads, I think everyone here could basically say
Uh-huh.
yeah, things have felt more chaotic, having to provide more resources, having to fill out FMLA paperwork, having to, all of these things where we're trying to remain present for our clients, but also witnessing a lot of these crises.
Mhm.
This isn't just a made up number, essentially. I think we can all agree that this is something we're witnessing firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was trying to like look and see if it had in the article from publichealth.jhu.edu. We'll post a I'll post a link in all the descriptions if people wanted to look at it. I was trying to see if it like they had before this time. I was trying to see like what are the difference in the rates, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it didn't really like say other than it was just kind of like, yeah, this is up from previous years.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it makes me wonder how it would correlate to well, I mean, this isn't just the last year, but over several years, the rising cost of housing, the
Mhm.
unemployment numbers, median income, some of those different things, cost of gas going up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and how those contribute to stress and
Let
mental
me
health
pull it up
challenges.
because I
Yeah.
think it said that like when looking at the data, it affected people in lower socioeconomic statuses more. Like those numbers, that 1 in 10 was you were more likely to have like some sort of like be on Medicaid or have housing insecurity and stability. And also the rates were also higher in people of color as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Or it makes me
so
think of when was that? Last October, November, federal government shutdown, and I know a lot of people had their SNAP benefits suspended.
Yep.
And
mhm.
Good one. Yeah, SNAP, EBT. I think Christine and I have we've mentioned this in previous episodes too, but just seeing like the wave of people losing Medicaid and us having to like fill out paperwork for like behavioral health concerns. Like, nope, this person needs their Medicaid essentially in order to survive, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the be all end all.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
like what was I just gonna say? Not even losing their Medicaid, just losing their insurance because the cost of
Mm-hmm.
insurance skyrocketed and like they can't afford to pay for it
Right.
anymore. Or like even with us, like our company, like the amount that our company covers was reduced.
Mm-hmm.
Um instead of 80 it went to 50 or whatever. And like a lot of us were like, okay, that's like it works. I have to make it work, so I will, you know
Mm-hmm.
because I need the health insurance. But, that was the case for a lot of folks where, and a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
I've found that like a lot of places aren't covering spouses, like aren't
mm,
Oh,
covering,
really?
yeah,
mm,
like they'll cover spouses, but like the cost of it, like the cost sharing of it, they won't cost share like they
Oh,
do with the employer or the employee, I
okay.
okay.
should say. Yeah. Um,
Well, and I was telling Josh, I don't think I got to tell you yet, but I was telling Christine last week that I was meeting with one of my colleagues back in Michigan. We do shout outs on this pod all the time, so shout out to Supriya. Take a shot. It's the first
Oh, yeah.
shout out
That's
of
the
the
first
episode.
shout out. Take a drink.
Take a drink.
Don't though. Don't though, because you might die.
Yep.
Again.
Yep.
Yeah. Shout out
Um
number 1 down. Let's
Shout out
go.
number one, check, to Supriya. So essentially in Michigan, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they're going to, I don't know if it's like gone into effect yet, or I know there's like a lot of petitions going out. I can share that too. But essentially Blue Cross Blue Shield, will not be covering limited license practitioners anymore.
Oh,
You
right.
essentially have to have your full licensure in order to like use their insurances, or which is like essentially too, like how do you expect anybody to get their hours to get their full license if they can only take maybe Medicaid, for example,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
As a
So
How are you?
mental health practitioner, counselor, social worker,
Yeah.
yeah.
psychologist. Yeah.
And even
And
PA,
even
I think even
yeah.
PAs and
Oh,
like
okay.
other areas, it's like if you don't have your full license, like good luck to you, essentially.
Well, and
Mm,
Medicaid's cracking down too on if you don't have your
Yeah.
full license. They're like, you better like
Mm-hmm.
me and Mackenzie were just looking at the like updated policy stuff, and it's like, oh, you better have all this stuff, and like the person that like the supervisor, like me, Josh, supervising for you, better be like checking all these things and
mm,
making sure documentation is correct. Like I could see it becoming like we're not going to cover them either because blah blah blah,
Exactly.
blah because oh,
I
we
think
really got
that's
to
it. I
prove.
think it's finding ways to like say like, oh, we can't cover this session because of X. You didn't list like their dog's name from when they were a child. We can't cover that session.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I pulled up the article really quick, so I'm going to be not looking at the camera for a second as I read this. But okay, so the survey found that young adults ages 18 to 29 reported the highest crisis prevalence at 15.1% compared to 2.6 of
Mm,
the to those over 60. So it's the youth. It's and like who can blame them, right? Like the
mhm,
future looks bleak at this point. Black and Hispanic adults reported higher rates than white adults. Rates were higher among those reporting depression or post-traumatic stress disorder. and were highest of all among people who reported experiencing housing instability at 37.9%. So, Josh, like going back to like the socioeconomic factors of it all. Um, These numbers show just how common moments of acute distress are and how unevenly they're distributed across the population. Um, Additionally, the study found that people with lower income were more likely to report experiencing a past year mental health crisis. People with fewer assets were more likely to experience mental health crisis, highlighting the importance of economic and social factors in addressing upstream mental health. Um, so that just goes to show right there, like, cutting those, the funding cuts, just all the things in the last year and a half have not actually helped mental health. And
Mhm.
yet also this is, I think, like I read an article, or maybe Mackenzie, you found something that's like this is the most therapy any our
Mhm.
entire like society has ever received. And like yet mental health is the worst it's ever been. Um and I think the article did a good job. Like it kind of like I think if you just read the like headline, you'd be like, "Oh, therapy is not working."
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
right. Like
I think that's, like, the running joke between, like, therapy and social work, right? Like, in therapy, like, we're doing so many different interventions, like helping with resources, and then social work, it's like, "Oh, my client needed a cigarette and an apartment, and they were all better."
yeah.
There's still,
Uh,
like it doesn't mean
oh
that,
gosh,
like, us
sorry.
as practitioner as practitioners are going to be able to, like, solve these issues. It's
Yeah.
that we're trying to, like, hold everyone's hand through, like, some of the most bleak times. Like, Christine and I
Well,
started around COVID, and this feels even more like I don't
yeah,
know.
worse
It
than
just
COVID
it feels like we're
somehow.
doing it
Yeah.
again. Yeah, exactly.
Or like it just like it was bad in COVID, and instead of just like getting better, it's just gotten worse. Like
Exactly, right?
it's gotten
Continued to tank.
harder. Yes, continue to tank. Which I think again, like this all kind of points to this like systemic. It's a systemic thing. The fact that
Mhm.
yes, everybody's in therapy, but mental health is worse. Like okay, it's not. We as individual therapists, I just hit myself in the head. We as individual therapists, I gesture too largely, everybody. Um, we as individual therapists cannot like we cannot help people individually when it is a systemic issue.
Mhm.
Only do so much in the end. Um, and there needs to be systemic change. And so like kind of going back to the fact that it's been Pride Month and Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're seeing this rise and like um or like not a rise, but a drop in like mental health and how well people are doing. That, brings me to the fact that is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and that like men are more likely to commit suicide. Um, Whereas women are more likely to attempt, men are more likely to commit because generally they use more violent means.
Mhm.
Um, and suicide rates for the LGBTQ community are, let's see, for youth, it's 36 to 41% of LGBTQ plus youth seriously consider attempting suicide, compared to 13 to 16% of their cis and heterosexual peers.
Oy.
Um, yeah.
So three times as likely.
Mhm.
Yep. They are more likely to attempt 2 to 4 times more likely to attempt than their straight peers. And out of everyone in the LGBTQIA community, transgender and non-binary youth are the most have the highest rates, as well as youth of color.
Mhm.
Like youth of color who are in the LGBTQIA community ex- experience higher rates as well than their white peers. And so again, there's never been more people doing therapy, doing the hard work, getting supports than we've ever had, and yet, like, things have not gotten better. In fact, things have somehow gotten worse.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I guess that kind of starts
And
to
also,
come
like,
into our next
considering
couple points.
right? And also considering the crossover of, like, the queer community and neurodivergent community where,
Mhm.
you know, it doesn't mean like we're blending the two. It means that there's
Yeah.
like a pretty decent overlap where these numbers could like maybe get even higher, right? If you were to
Mhm.
look at
Mhm.
specifically like neurodivergent queer youth or queer individuals in general,
Yeah.
where that would be like maybe for a follow-up episode too of like kind of seeing the numbers between all of that as well, because I think the three of us having worked with like people within the neurodivergent community where, sometimes that feels like the not the easy way out, but like the only way out, I guess I would
Mhm.
say, right? When you feel like you can't get those supports, when you feel like you're different from your community and can't find those resources, it's so
Yeah.
extremely common.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna bring that up and kind of address that comment that we got on,
Hmm.
one of our Instagram posts. Yeah, we had a, person comment like, "Why what does being queer have to do with being neurodivergent? Why are we lumping these things together?" And this was on a post where it was just like a call for artists, and we were like, "Neurodivergent and queer artists," and it's not that we were saying, like, neurodivergent and
And
queer, like, you
queer.
have to be
Hmm.
both.
Yeah,
No, you just have to yeah, one or the other is fine. We will accept both.
Yeah.
Um,
You don't get
but
bonus points for being both.
yeah, but, I just gently, like, let the commenter know that, like, it has a lot to do with each other because, um, you know, 30 to 70% of neurodivergent folks also identify as part of the QI community, and, um, in the LGBTQIA community, individuals are 3 to 8 times more likely to be neurodivergent.
Hmm.
yeah.
And so
I wish I
there's
could remember the data I saw, but the particular thing I saw a few years ago, yeah, was specifically with uh, folks on the autism spectrum and people that are trans, and
Mhm.
the high
Hmm.
overlap between those two.
Yes, it's even higher rate. Like, it is that, like, it's almost like 70% or something, like,
Hmm.
um, 70% of trans people are also autistic or something. Like, I don't remember
Yeah,
the
yeah,
exact data either, but I've seen that too. It's like a super high correlation, and, we know correlation does not is not causation, but the overlap is very high, and so we have this intersectionality between 2 marginalized groups
Hmm.
that seem to have these 2 co-occurring things happen. Um, and so, that's why for the Arts and Minds Festival, like, we're celebrating both neurodivergence and the queer community because, yeah, the likelihood of you being queer and also neurodivergent is pretty high and vice versa.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean you are. If you are neurodivergent, doesn't mean you are queer. And if you are queer, doesn't mean you are neurodivergent. It just means there's a high chance that it is the possibility.
And
Um,
these are the groups that are like facing like well, of course with like immigrants as well, but these are like two of the groups that are facing so much not like backlash. I'm
yeah.
trying to think of the
Public
word.
scrutiny, maybe,
Yeah,
or
yes.
harmful
uh,
rhetoric
There we
is
yes,
go.
what I
Yeah.
have written
yes.
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Right. So it's like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, what do these have to do with each other? Well, Diane, that wasn't her name. I'm just using that. It's, these are the people that like need us now, maybe more than ever, because of yes, harmful rhetoric and everything coming
Hmm.
from a certain area. So we're here to like
I'll
that's what like
say
therapists do.
coming
Oh,
from
I
our
lost something one.
government. Yeah. I won't name any names because then otherwise we may not be able to promote this content, but
That's
I'll
true.
say it's coming from our government.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yes.
I have to tell you guys, where was I? I'm trying to think who I was talking to. It might have been at one of these networking events I went to recently. And oh yes, cuz it was someone who well maybe like a nurse practitioner or a PA who was talking about doing maybe like in-home vaccinations or something like that
Uh-huh.
for people that like have extreme like anxiety when they go to doctors' offices or health anxiety, things like that. And they were specifically there to talk about like providing vaccines for neurodivergent kids who do have a hard time at the office. And I gently asked her about like the correlation between vaccines and autism, and I thought she was going to like snap her pencil in half. So between like that and like the Tylenol thing, like all of it, where it's like, that's like, we do what we do to like, especially like working with parents, right? Telling them that like, just look at the research, like talk to your doctor. These are things that, I could easily spread misinformation online. So why wouldn't someone in a high political seat do the same thing in order to get what they want ultimately?
I mean, yeah, why not?
And that's all I'll say about that.
And I'll just, here at the Arts and Minds Collective podcast, we firmly believe that vaccines do not cause autism, neither does
Mhm.
Tylenol. It is genetic, y'all. Sorry.
Uh-huh. And for men's mental health month, go get your dads tested, by the way.
Yeah, because good Lord, the correlation, it's always the dads for some
It's
reason. Especially when it's so funny, like,
Tested for
listen,
autism or evaluated. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
because like, we don't have any actual valid numbers on this. It's just completely anecdotal evidence, okay? So I'm
Yes.
just gonna say that right now. We're not, like, don't take what we're saying as 100% serious. It's just anecdotal that the fact that every single one of my odd ADHD clients,
Mhm.
the father is autistic and the mother is ADHD is so fascinating. And I think
Mhm.
I've shared, like, for myself, uh, it's my dad who's
It's your
ADHD.
dad.
Shout out to my dad. Love you. Mom,
Yay.
if you're listening to this, because I know you will, you can tell him that we mentioned with him. Love him. Uh,
Shout
but
out Christine's
woof.
dad.
Yeah, shout out Christine's
Number 2.
dad. The apple did not fall far from the tree, unfortunately. Oh my God. Here's a funny story. You know, we were at my new house cleaning, and apparently the way I was just saying words, my mom was like, God, you sound just exactly like your dad. I was like, what? How?
It's well, and it's things
She's
like
like, it's
that
scary.
where
Like,
well, and this is what I get from my dad, and shout out Mike if you happen to be listening to this episode.
yeah.
The way my dad can rattle off like sports, what would it be? Not metrics,
Statistics or
statistics, thank you. The way he can like rattle that off, and he's like, did you know in like 1985 the Boston Red Sox, like it's things like that where I'm like, oh good lord, like
Yeah.
if I could pull this man in for testing tomorrow, you bet I would.
Yep, yep, yep. But yeah. Shout
Maybe
out to
this is
dads.
shout out
It
to
was
dad.
Father's Day this past month,
yeah, a
so
week
yeah,
ago.
shout out
Week
a
ago.
week
Yeah,
ago was Father's Day. Shout out to dads.
shout out dads.
We're
Did
probably
you,
what?
Josh, did you have a lot of dads in your support group?
Mhm.
You're talking about the men's support group at
Yes.
my other internship site.
Hmm.
Some. I
Okay.
mean, I'm trying to think of the folks that were coming consistently. Yeah, it was a mix from
Okay.
men that didn't have kids, men that either had biological kids, men that had stepkids.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely a mix. And
Nice.
yeah, so for context for listeners, for almost a year, I co-led a men's support group at one of my counseling internship sites,
Yeah.
which
Now we
was
just
in
gotta
Boulder.
yeah. We've haven't had a lot of luck with groups, but it'd be awesome if we could do a men's group, a
Yeah.
men's support group.
No, I'm thinking about
Uh,
it, but I
with
mean, yeah,
Lucy.
a lot of details to
A lot of
To
talk
hammer.
through.
details.
We'll talk on a
Yeah,
different
Yeah.
day.
yeah.
But
I'm curious as to what that looked like. Was it like fairly structured? Like, did you come in with topics? Was it just kind of like, you know,
It it
come in with
was
something to talk about?
it was fairly unstructured, and
Okay.
the group had been happening for at least a couple years, maybe several years, but I inherited the group from previous interns. And so it's funny, there was one participant in the group who I think me and my fellow intern were like his third set of facilitators,
Oh,
because
wow.
every year they would graduate and then the new ones would come in. And,
Mm.
um,
Mhm.
so there was a little bit of structure at the beginning of we would usually do a short guided meditation and then a check-in round where everyone would just talk for a minute or two about how they're doing, what their week was like, and then a lot of the meeting was more free form, and
Mhm.
people could share stories, ask people questions, comment, and so often the group was it's usually between 3 and 6 men, and then two facilitators.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and yeah, a lot of good conversations. Parenting, not as much of a topic, but
Mhm.
um, seemed like it was a lot of talking about work and careers, and then a lot about
Mhm.
relationships,
Mm.
and then a fair bit about um, working with depression or
Mhm.
anxiety.
What about, like, toxic masculinity? Did that ever come up?
Not a lot, and I wish it did, because it's a topic I've been interested in for a while. Um, I don't know if I've really told the two of you much about this, but I wrote a paper about 7 years ago. It was my capstone for a previous master's degree in adult education.
Oh,
Mm.
And
cool.
so the title of my capstone for that degree was Transforming College Men's Beliefs About Masculinity.
Whoa.
Ooh. Oh, can
And
we link that? I'm gonna wanna read that.
I would say I feel like
uh,
that is needed now more than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, what I was really exploring with the paper, it's like, how are boys socialized in the U.S.
Mhm.
um, and in particular, what are the messages that boys receive, kind of from society at large, and then what are some of the consequences of those beliefs. And I briefly talked about the link towards suicide.
Mhm.
Talked a bit toward about then violence that men perpetrate against other people,
Mm.
um, was part of it, and a little bit about, yeah, men's mental health. What are the effects of some of these messages, which I often kind of boil down to be tough, be dominant, don't show weakness.
Mhm.
Um,
There's no crying in baseball.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom Hanks.
Yep.
Um,
And did some
actually,
of it, like, kinda come from well, did you pull any from, like, your own upbringing and experience too?
a little bit. I mean,
Okay.
the paper was more academic, so I've,
Mhm.
of course, citing a lot of different, research and other books and things like that.
Mhm.
My personal experience, and I guess since listeners probably don't know me, I'm a white cis male in my 40s. Um, yeah, grew up in the 80s and 90s in the Portland area.
Mhm.
But what was a kind of a pivotal time for me was as an undergraduate, age 19, 20, a lot of conversations with a woman friend of mine about emotions and suppressing or not suppressing. And um, I remember, yeah, especially around age 20, I really kind of made a conscious effort to pay more attention to my own emotions. And
Mm.
it seemed like this conversation with a friend of mine, shout out to Angie. Um,
Angie.
Shout
but
out to her too.
yeah, it seems like so many of our conversations would be, me saying something like, I feel this thing, but I shouldn't, or
Mm.
it's inconvenient.
Mm.
I don't want to feel this thing. And so often her response is like, well, whether you should feel it or not, if you feel it, you feel it. Like it's
Mhm.
there. So why not face the feelings?
Yeah.
And it was big. It was big. I think it really made me realize how much as a teenager that I would just kind of block a lot of things out
Mhm.
or
Mm.
push them to the side. Um, Yeah, so it was a big thing in my, I think, early 20s to pay more attention to emotions, to talk about emotions more, um, to look more at my relationships with other men and, what I could express. I mean, both in terms of like talking about my struggles, but also, I remember my early 20s just being able to hug other men was kind of a big deal where I'm like, whoa, this is revolutionary.
That's so interesting too, because I think I still have those conversations with my partner who is, cis het white male. And, you know, even like maybe hearing like conversations he has with like other male friends where it's like, yeah, this is probably like the worst time of my life, but it's okay. I'll get through it. Right.
Yeah.
It's just immediately like it's vulnerable, but then it's that band aid of like, it's okay. And it's, not necessarily in a machismo, I have to be strong kind of way. But I think there's still that like fear of maybe that it is that like fear of being vulnerable around like
Mhm.
another male, perhaps.
And I think that is one of the messages I think most boys in the US get is the don't show weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, gotta be tough. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, it
Yeah.
makes it hard. Um,
I mean, I have like two. I was about to be. I was kind of like giggling because I was like, shout out white cis male partners because I have one too, um, who also has struggled to talk about and show his emotions in his life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that you know to the point in which oh man, he's gonna hate. He hates when I talk about him, especially to clients. Um, but who has spent a lot of his adult life, yeah, like learning how to feel his emotions
Mm-hmm.
and not just be shut down
Yeah.
about it. Because I feel like yes, there's like two ways it goes. It's just like I'm numb, I don't feel anything, or it's I feel everything and I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just gonna
mm,
lash out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's the case for anybody,
Yeah.
not just as white men, but that's the case for anybody. Um, is when we're not allowed to actually feel our feelings and learn how to work with them, move through them, whatever we want to call it. Yeah, what ends up happening is we just shut them down and then we don't really we still feel it, but we're like it's disconnected. The body and the brain and the body
Mm-hmm.
are disconnected. We don't it doesn't talk to each other. Or yeah, we end up punching holes in walls
Right.
or screaming at the people that we love or
drinking a
um
lot and doing drugs
drinking, yeah,
or
Yes.
doing drugs, either being self-injurious or injuring others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of that pain that we feel. Because emotions can be super painful.
And I think that has like, well, and I'll like say this with a disclaimer because I think some people take this to the extent of like men being weird and gross on dating apps with like the male loneliness epidemic. But I think like genuinely on the other side of that is, men having a difficult time like opening up to maybe even like family, right? Like I'm very lucky with Ethan, my partner, where he's very in touch with his emotions. And I attribute that to his mom, right? She was like very supportive of him and always has been. And I think like him and his sister have like supported him in that way. But I know his relationship with his dad, that's something that he wouldn't be able to do. So
Mm,
for maybe in terms of like that male loneliness epidemic too, of like not being able to have like deep, authentic friendships because of things like this, because it's hard to
mhm,
like be vulnerable and talk about emotions instead of just like, you know, I'm going to come over and watch the Broncos game and we're not going to talk about anything else.
yeah.
Right.
I have two really great stories to share that show how like this, yeah, gotta be tough, can't show weakness, starts so early.
Mm,
Um, So I used to work in a preschool daycare setting where I was a toddler teacher. So we're talking 1 to 2 years old. Okay.
mm.
Babies. Truly
Little
little tiny
littles.
babies. Little babies. They're barely talking. They mostly walk, all right. Constantly falling down. And they're just, there is no there's innocence, just innocence, right? And so, one activity that we would do with them is we'd have baby dolls, just little babies, and we would fill up the sensory table with water and soap and give them rags, and they
Mhm.
would wash the baby dolls. And then they were also just out to play with too, in general, like if they wanted to play. And I remember a dad coming and then seeing, like, picking up his kid, and his kid was playing with his friends, which were a mix of girls and boys, and they were all playing with the baby dolls over in, like, the home, you know, station area.
Mhm.
And he was like, or like maybe he like I can't remember. He either saw his kid playing with the baby doll or he saw the pictures of the baby of him watching the baby doll. And he was like, "Oh, he's playing with a baby doll." Or like he was very just kind of like, "What? Ooh, I don't know about that." And we were like, he was like, "I don't know if he should be playing with baby dolls." And we're like, "Well, what if he wants to be a dad one day too?" Like we said
Mhm.
this to this man, like, wouldn't it be good if you knew how to take care of a baby?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
he's learning that right now. Also, and then we're like, he's also learning other things, like how to take care of himself. Him practicing how to wash a baby is
Mhm.
then a skill he then learns how to
Mm,
wash himself,
mm,
right? Like, so he's learning self-care here. He's also learning empathy. He's learning how to take care of another. Oh no, the baby is
Mhm.
dirty. We need to clean it. Oh no, you dropped the baby. The baby is sad. Now you need to pick it up and give it a hug, right? Like, that's not being like a wuss. That's just being like
Yeah.
a good a decent person who has
Mhm.
empathy and knows how to, like, bathe themselves, like, pretty basic stuff, right? And, like, yeah, a one-year-old gets all that from playing with a baby doll, and it's that one-year-old's not thinking, like, "I wanna be a mom one day because I
Exactly.
want playing with a baby doll." That one-year-old's thinking, "Oh, my friend is playing with the baby doll, and I wanna play with my friend, and so let's play baby dolls together and, like, take
Mhm.
care." Like, it's not
It's not
that's not what they're thinking.
nefarious.
Like, we are putting that on them. Um,
Mhm.
and then I have the second story I have is when I used to work as a face painter. I've done a lot of things. I worked as a face painter at a local place here called Grant's Farm. Shout out to Grant's Farm, owned by the Anheuser-Busch family.
Oh.
It's a it's a nice little romp. It is free to get into, you have to pay to park, but there's plenty of parking around that you can just walk to. But, it's a cool place. But anyways, I worked as a face painter there. And I loved the shop, like, it was super fun, and because it just make, like, the kids' day and all this stuff, and it was a little boy, and his mom walked up, and this boy wanted a butterfly, like, full face butterfly, okay?
Oh my god.
And the design, it was pink and blues and just yeah. And he wanted that, like, really bad, and, like, his mom was like, "No, no, we can't get that, like, daddy's not gonna like that, daddy's gonna be upset
Oh.
about it or whatever." And I was like, "Well, we can just do it in a different color, like, what's your favorite color?" Right? I'm like, "This is ridiculous." Like, and, like, you could tell, like, mom wanted to, like, give in and be like, "Why can't I just make my child happy?" Right? So then that's when I was like, "Well, it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be pink, it could
Yep.
be any color you
Mhm.
want." Right? And so the boy ended up picking, like, greens and yellows, and it looked awesome, like, he looked so cool, and, he was so excited about it, and then, like, if we finish and mom goes, "Well, just tell dad that it's an alien face."
Oh. Oh, that breaks my
Like,
heart.
this little kid who was, like, maybe, like, no younger than 4, maybe no older
Mhm.
than 7, couldn't get a like, be a butterfly on his a green and yellow butterfly, by the way, like, not even, like, girly colors, right? Would
Mhm.
still not because it was a butterfly, but butterfly is not
right. And
masculine.
not a
Butterfly is
tiger.
still
Right,
yeah, not a
exactly.
tiger, not
Mhm.
anything, like, it was a butterfly. And we'll tell dad that it's an alien. Like, he couldn't even own that.
Oh my god.
But he got this, like, he got to, like, choose the colors and, like, get the design that he wanted, like, how sad. And I was like, "This sucks." Like,
Yeah.
um
'Cause it's things like that where it's like and maybe parents don't realize the messages you're, like, telling your kids by doing things like that, right? Because
Mhm,
now it's something he has to hide, and
mhm.
especially, again, since we're, like, focusing on males specifically, where it's like, "Oh, if I like something that is, like, inherently girly or feminine, I have to hide that part of myself." Like, that's something that,
Yeah.
like, I can't tell my friends, I can't tell my dad, like, so then who is he
Yeah.
gonna trust? essentially nobody. That's something that you have to like, again, that you just have
Well,
to hide away.
as we've been talking, my pattern recognition, and Josh, I'm thinking of that SNL skit that you sent right
Oh,
before
yeah.
this, and I watch. Um, I am picking up that it becomes a woman's
Mm,
like, oh, Ethan feels your partner Ethan feels more
mhm,
comfortable talking to his mom about emotions than talking to his dad,
for
right?
sure.
Um,
Mhm,
the little kid was with his mom and
mhm,
still got the butterfly face painting because like with dad he would have probably just completely shut it down. Like there was some
yeah.
comfortability there. Um, Josh, hate to say it, but you did a lot of your subscription with Angie, who was a woman,
Yes.
right? Like
No, it's true.
Mm,
because
And
yeah,
other
and then look at
women friends in college, but Angie in particular.
mhm. Yeah, and, like, the SNL skit that I'm talking about it's a very funny skit, but basically it's yeah, a bunch of hetero men with their wives and girlfriends who don't talk to anybody else but them,
mhm,
and rely completely on them for their emotional and social support, and then, like, the joke is like, "Oh, take them to the man park." It's like a dog park, but for men, and that way, like, they can start to, like, talk to other men and, like, you know, the part that, like, was really getting me was like, "Oh, he's shy, he doesn't wanna, like" and then he goes up to, like, a group, these 2 men, he's like, "Marvel?" And then they were just like, "Marvel, Marvel, Marvel, Marvel," at each other, but not actually, like, talking about anything, like, deep. Um,
now
but
that
I
you say
think
that,
that's
well,
yeah,
And
well,
the
I'm
title
thinking
of the
about, like,
skit is
males that
called
I've
Man Park, in case anyone wants to look it up.
yeah, Man Park.
we
Yeah.
should we'll link it because that
Yeah,
one
we'll
I
link it.
remember that one.
Let me
But
write
now
this
that
down
I
so I don't forget.
think about it, it's the amount of, like, males either that I've seen or that I helped, like, during supervision where,
Mhm,
they prefer a female therapist. Right? I think we see a lot of that too of like, "Oh, I'd rather like" I think Ethan has told me, like, "If I'm gonna go to therapy, I'd rather, like, see a female." And that part I get absolutely of, again, that, like, pattern recognition, and but even some of the younger kiddos that I think we've seen come through, maybe will say, like, "I'd rather see Josh, I'd rather see Matt, like, I'd rather talk to, like, another male."
mhm.
So, and of course, like this is a heavily female dominated field already. So for
But I
any
think we need more men like you, Josh, like, we need more men who are in touch with
1,000%.
their because it's an like, yeah, they're not get men aren't getting these role models
Mhm.
anywhere else
Yeah.
too much, right? Like, um,
I
Yeah.
think of all the
Uh,
athletes that have like, unfortunately taken their own life, and whether it's related to like CTE or a TBI, but again, like hiding things about their mental health, hiding that they're struggling.
right. And that's often one of the things that I think comes up, especially in talking about men's mental health. It's
mhm,
not only that, boys in the US are socialized to cut themselves off from a lot of feelings, but they're also taught to be independent, do it on your own. And so then there's that additional aspect of um, asking for help. And I
Mhm.
guess as we were saying earlier, the showing vulnerability. But
Yeah.
the
mhm.
asking for help, I think, is then another aspect of it too that
Well,
makes
asking
it
for help
tougher.
is showing vulnerability,
Yes.
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Like, oh, well, yeah, admitting that you need help with something is showing and, like, that's the thing, like, it gets construed into, like, "Oh, that's weakness," right? Like,
Yeah.
And it's
yeah,
unmanly is what I mean,
exactly.
in
Yeah.
this, the messages that boys get.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to therapy is, like, weak, like, that's something that they'd probably, like, hide about themselves, that
Mhm,
sort of thing.
mhm, yeah.
I love
I mean,
working
the
with
amount
males,
of
by the way.
men huh?
I love working with males. They're, like,
Me
some of my
too.
my faves.
They're so fun. But I will say, like, I think I'm trying to think the majority of my male clients no, I wouldn't say the majority, but it's interesting how many male clients I've had or have where, um, they go to therapy because their partner,
Mhm.
their wife or their girlfriend or whatever is like, "Yeah, I need to go to therapy."
Mhm.
Um, I've had several who were just like, "I think I'm having problems. I need to see somebody," but, um, yeah, a lot of times it's like there's a little bit of a push where, like, it's their spouse or their partner being like
you need to talk to somebody.
You need to talk to somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that
That's
was also true. There's a retired psychologist I used to kind of team up with, did a couple volunteer projects. He ran several men's groups, and he basically said the same thing. So
mhm.
often people come to the men's groups because their female partners basically gave them an ultimatum.
Mhm.
You're
Yep.
gonna do this or I won't be with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Because the anger is too much, or the not having any emotions, or the um
Well, in couples, it's the
oh,
communication.
the
Mm.
communication. I'm also just thinking like the like compassion fatigue of it all, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh of like, oh, I have to take care of myself and also take care of you, and I'm supposed to manage my emotions, so I also have to manage your emotions and all the other
Mhm.
things too. And it's just like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't
A lot
wanna.
of women say, I'm not your mom. And I mean, like, if we think about like the male loneliness epidemic, which I don't think women chose that name.
True. I'm gonna have to look more into because 'cause
Like where it came from.
I've heard
Yeah.
so many, like, a lot there's a lot of discourse about that topic in particular, but,
Mhm.
I'd be curious to see, like, kind of well, I think I remember hearing it even maybe during COVID, if not mostly, like, post-COVID of, like,
Mhm.
didn't really reach out during COVID, felt more isolated than ever, that type of thing. Um, so I'd be curious. We'll have to double back on that and
Okay, we'll double back
provide
on it
some
for sure.
resources. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the biggest issue is like your partner doesn't want to be your mom.
Mhm. Yep.
Or a
'Cause
therapist.
Or a
yeah, or
therapist.
therapist. Your partner doesn't want to be your mom or your therapist. Um, that's what therapist is for. Of course,
Mhm.
going back to the difficulties and just like getting help and therapy with the fact that like the social safety nets have been cut, funding for not just making sure people can access mental health resources, but also like researching mental health resources has been cut.
Mhm.
Um, insurance rates, yeah, insurance, either people have lost their insurance or it's gotten too expensive and they can't afford it, or they've been kicked off for whatever reason. Um, and then like on our side of things for, being the counselors, like reimbursement rates have dropped. Like we're not
Mm.
getting as
Mhm.
much money from the insurance. Clawbacks are apparently a thing. That's where they pay you for the thing, and then like however long afterwards, they're like, "Just kidding, give us our money back.
Yeah, never mind.
We're not going to cover it." And it's like, what? And
Because
like,
we're
yeah, not letting
elective.
LPs.
This is
Yeah,
elective healthcare.
crazy.
Mhm.
Because yeah, it makes me think of like how dental is not part of medical. Like there's dental insurance instead of it's like your teeth are also like medical. Like things can go wrong, and then like it causes physical issues. Um, medical issues. Same with mental health.
Mhm.
Your
Yep.
physical health influences your mental health, and your mental health influences your physical health. But yeah, not letting LPCCs be contracted to take,
Mhm.
yeah, accept that insurance. Um, they also apparently insurances, I've been seeing this do caps. Like they only are like, oh, you can only do so many 90837s in a
Like a
day
full
or a month.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever. And they're
which
like, oh, you
which is
can't do that
the
many.
50-minute
Yep.
therapy
Yeah, the
session for
53-minute
individuals, right?
sessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you didn't fix your client in 30 minutes during the week? Why?
yeah. Why?
Why do you need more sessions? Hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, we're out here it's saying like men probably need to go talk to somebody, either other just male friends or like a therapist. And also like just want to acknowledge that like and also like it's harder to access therapy. I saw
Mhm.
an interesting TikTok video. It's like one of those like hot take things or like who said that? I said that sort of thing trend. And it was like something about like therapists not taking insurance. If you're a private therapist and you don't take
Mm.
insurance, it's unethical because then it's harder for
Oh.
people to access it. Because if you don't, you're probably asking for
$200
anywhere
a
between
Yeah.
session or
100 to
yeah.
$200 a session. Not to say that private therapists also can do a sliding scale and all those things, but basically it's like, yeah, and like that's the crux of the issue is like therapy is becoming something only people of a certain socioeconomic
Mhm.
status, a class status can receive because who can afford $200 a week?
Sure.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, not many people anymore. Even like some people, I've had my clients struggle when they're like, it's just $30 a week. Because if you think about it, $30 a week times four is, I don't
120 a
know,
month.
Yep.
$120 a month that you could be spending on food or rent or
Mhm.
gas. And nowadays, with rent being exorbitantly high, gas being insanely high, and food being insanely high, yeah, I probably would pick the thing that makes sure I have a roof over my head, a place where I can, a way to get to my job and or feed myself
Mhm.
over my mental health. And then, you know, the harmful rhetoric coming out of our administration about like autism and
Mhm.
SSRIs, like, that's the other thing, like, if I was a man and I was hearing all that and I'm, buying into the whatever they call it nowadays, the red pill, I don't know.
Mm.
Oh,
I'm on the internet a lot, y'all, sorry.
yeah.
But yeah, like, and I
Sure. Or
heard
the
these. Yeah.
I've often heard it called like or at least maybe 8 years ago, the men's rights movement,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
yeah, in my mind, it's almost I don't know, yeah, a reaction to feminism from kind of this
Mhm.
Mhm.
anti-feminist. I, yeah, at least is how I tend to think about it.
Right, and then you have these people in a position of power who are also,
Mm.
I'm gonna say they're anti-feminist,
Right.
saying these things like, "Oh, autism, it's bad and we need to cure it," and like, "Don't take SSRIs are just as addictive as heroin," and like,
Mhm.
all in these like the like inherent push towards more traditional gender norms of like the man is the you need to be working 80
Yeah.
hours a week or whatever to be providing for, and like women should just be having babies, more babies, like, you know,
But then they'll take away healthcare too, having babies also. So we're double screwed.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Have more babies, but don't expect us to pay for them.
yeah,
it's like
exactly.
us to
But
pay
good
for
luck
'em.
paying your hospital bill.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Anyway, we could go down a rabbit hole with that.
Yeah.
um like, yeah, I probably, if I was a man, a young man right now, like 18 to 29, I'd probably be feeling some way about stuff and, like,
Mhm.
yeah.
I suspect too. Wish I could cite some sources on this one, but where then what happens? Because I'll hear little bits about young men in the U.S. kind of trending more
Towards
conservative.
conservatism,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I think one of the things that happens is rather than blame the various public policies that lower wages and job opportunities, increase cost of living, but then um, women get blamed, trans people get blamed, um,
Yeah, people of
minorities
color
get
get
blamed,
blamed.
Minorities.
Yeah,
immigrants get
Mhm.
blamed. So
yeah,
it's like, yes, of course, young men are understandably frustrated at having fewer opportunities, but then where is the frustration or anger getting directed? And instead of looking at
Mhm.
these kind of larger, social political systems, it tends to target
Yeah.
yeah. The
um,
larger systemic issues that, again,
yeah, marginalized groups
individually,
get blamed instead.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
marginalized groups get blamed instead of, like, looking, yes, to, like, the not saying they're, like, idols. I'm not saying, like, young men are idolizing, well, I feel like, yes, there's a lot of idolization of, like,
Sure.
billionaires
Yeah. It's
right now,
what are
and
those?
the
I forget what the videos are called. Like you were talking about, like alpha males, where it's like
yeah,
if you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym and like eat raw meat, like you too can be a billionaire. Like you're fed
yeah,
this
yeah,
like fallacy at this point of like, oh, you're not working hard enough,
and if you
right?
think about it, the majority of the billionaires are white,
Mm-hmm.
seemingly cis. So they present. Men.
Men. Nepo babies.
Well,
A
I was
lot
going
of
to say, and then to me, the question would be around how much of that is inherited wealth versus,
exactly.
but even
Which
if
Okay,
it's not,
a wholly systemic issue that yes, most of it is probably inherited wealth because who has had the wealth to inherit for generations?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. Cis men. Because who
Yeah.
could own land? Who can vote? Who could have
Mhm.
businesses? Like, yeah.
Yeah. We'll probably have to come back to this one. This feels like well, and especially thank you, Josh, for like providing your insight from like
Mm.
not only your experience as a counselor, but your experience like as a male and
I
like
was gonna say
how
as
that
being a
led you
man.
as being a man.
as one of those white cis men.
I
Yes.
Yeah.
know. I'm sitting here like we're like, white
Well,
cis men. I'm like, but not you, Josh.
But not Josh.
well, okay, and so I did want to mention that too. So
Yeah.
I said this right before we started recording, but this is at least in my own kind of understanding of this or thinking about this is I think especially working class men or men that have a lower socioeconomic status
Mhm.
uh, have this especially I don't know, maybe just get especially frustrated because here are now a lot of I think folks who have been marginalized in the past are still facing marginalization, saying you're a white cis man, you have all the power,
Right.
and yet um,
They don't feel
ec-
that.
well, because economically they don't.
They don't feel yeah.
Yeah.
Economically, they
Economically,
don't.
they're in a lower class. There's not a lot of influence they have, kind of politically. So then it creates this, I don't know, this interesting bind of I think they're aware of the ways they're disempowered because they have low
Mhm.
wages and maybe just barely
Mhm.
making it economically. And so then it's hard to see the male privilege or perhaps
Mm.
race privilege or
Mhm.
cisgender privilege. Um, so then it I don't know. I feel like it makes that even tougher. But um,
Yeah.
and often I've had the thought of it seems like just bringing class into the conversation also feels important.
Yeah.
Of
Mhm.
anyway, that's
A tale
Well, I
for
mean,
another
hopefully that
time.
makes sense. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I was gonna say, if you think about it, if we're thinking about like intersectionality for a lower class white cis man, he is only one thing away from being a wealthy or
Mm.
upper class white cis man, right? Like it's just the economic status. Whereas,
right. Yes, yes.
yeah,
A disabled black trans person who is
Yeah.
also working class,
yes, he's like,
different
I
experience.
can't relate, right? Which like and like that's the problem is the people in power are like, yeah, but the issue is all those differences and not the fact
Exactly.
that like neither of you have the economic power to do anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which then I
Right.
think often translates into political influence.
Oh yeah, for sure. Speaking of
Right.
political influence, because I did want to mention this in our podcast, and I know we're almost at an hour, but the last heinous, not to say the last, more heinous things have
Most
come out in the
recent.
last couple of days, but the last most heinous mental health thing that came out of our administration in the most recent days was the new DOJ ruling, Department of Justice ruling that says that states are no longer required to provide community-based care for mentally disabled persons, which has made a lot of people in the mental health world and also just like in the law world be like, whoa, one, I don't think you can do that because this is like established precedence. And two,
Mhm.
what then? Because as we discussed in episode 2 in the history of like mental health, like it means going back to institutions.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Back to the hospitals, back to practices that
put
well
them
that
put them there and lock them away, and we
yeah.
don't see them anymore.
Right,
Yeah.
for being unproductive.
Yeah,
Members
cuz
of
clearly that worked the first time, right?
so well, so well.
Yeah.
Um, and
So
so
make
I
sure you
think we
vote
just
everybody, by the
oh,
way.
for God's sakes.
Oh yeah, Tuesday
Tuesday.
in Colorado anyway.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Make sure
I don't
you,
think
yeah, for
I
all
don't
our,
think we vote until August 4th.
okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody in
Oh, yeah, I'm in
Colorado.
Missouri, by the way, which,
Yep.
by the way, I just read saw an interesting thing about how terrible getting mental health care in Missouri is.
Well, I shouldn't
Not enough
be
beds.
I shouldn't be telling you guys this because you're never allowed to like leave me ever.
Yeah.
There's apparently a therapist shortage in Canada where you will like they're basically like from what I've seen offering stipends for therapists to move there so that they can this is what happens when you live in a country that takes care of mental health and they're like, "Oh, we don't have enough people working to like take care of people seeking mental health help."
Uh-huh.
Um so weird time to be a therapist in the United States, but
Yeah.
there's light at the end of the tunnel in other countries, I guess.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I grew up a 4-hour drive away from the British Columbia border, so
That's true. I mean, I know Vancouver's expensive, but
yeah,
BC is.
yeah,
Like I said, you're not allowed to leave though. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I just bought a house, so I don't think I'm going anywhere for a while.
mm-hmm. That's fair.
Definitely not Canada. Um, or out of Missouri anytime soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks again, guys. I feel like this is
Yeah.
a good thing for us to kind of keep diving deeper into. And if
Mhm.
anyone has any comments or questions, feel free
Yes.
to reach out to us, leave
Reach out,
something, and
comments, questions, leave comments,
yeah,
reach out.
we'd
I don't know, I'm pretty
love to
sure you
hear from
can.
y'all.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you can like reach us directly, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know. Definitely
sure.
make comments though. Comments, especially on our Instagram or TikTok. I'll see it and respond. And help. Just again, our goal is to help with destigmatizing and increasing people's knowledge about this. And um, I think next episode you won't be here for Mackenzie.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will be out for
Mhm.
July, a little bit of August. I'll be recovering from jaw surgery, so definitely won't be
Yeah.
talking a whole lot. So
No.
we'll
I
have
think
some special guests.
yeah, I think our colleague Justine will be joining me as a bit of a
Okay.
co-host, and for next episode I think we're going to be talking about art therapy. Woo!
Yay. Whoop,
So,
whoop.
yeah. Well, Josh, it was lovely having you on. You're welcome back anytime to
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
discuss
thanks,
not
thanks.
just
It's
men's
fun.
health issues, but other things too. Alrighty. Well, I've been Christine Thorpe,
I've been Mackenzie Clough,
and we'll see
And
you in the next episode. Yeah. And this has been Josh.
and this is Josh.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.